We can call the meeting in order.
As required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice this meeting was provided on January 13th, 2021 by publication of notice in the Express Times and the Harmon County Democrat and posting of said notice in the municipal building on the same date. Mayor Barsney?
Here.
Mr. Baylor?
Here.
Mr. Dean?
Here.
Mr. Knight was, let me just admit him, please.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Sorry, Mr. Turner? Here.
Flag of the United States of America. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Petruson and Barry, you guys want to do your presentations? Ready to go?
Okay. Good evening. Tonight, we're here, we represent the Environmental Commission. My colleague, Barry Glassman, will be making a report for essays that were considered the best out of the entire 7th grade class. The purpose of this is to raise awareness to environmental issues in the town at an age when it might spark somebody into thinking about the future, what educational issues you might address. So, Barry, come on and.
All right. Thank you, Bob. My name is Barry Glassman, also with the Greenwich Township Environmental Commission. For probably about 15 years, we've been doing this same essay contest right around Earth Day. And for many years, we were focusing on recycling, reusing, and reducing. More recently, we changed the question to really challenge this year's 7th grade class. We focused on the impact, positive or negative, of auto emissions and auto emissions legislation. Is it working? Is it doing anything? What's the future of auto emissions? And we were very happy to see that we received about 85 or 86 essays from the 7th grade class. And we really appreciate Mrs. Hummer, your science teacher, as well as the principal. And we spent a couple weeks looking at all 86. We came up with 3 winners. 3 winners are here tonight with their family. Get your camera phones ready if you have them, so that we can embarrass your kids. I believe we have certificates. So Mayor, thank you very much for allowing us on the agenda once again. And maybe you could come up. Our 3rd place winner is Paige Zeckman. Congratulations.
Listen to your mom.
Yeah, or your sister who won in a previous year. Paige, here you go.
Thank
That's from the Township and the Environmental Commission. Congratulations.
Yeah, we give a scale monetary award to the winners.
That's right. And the 2nd place winner is Shalomi. Shalomi, please come up. And this is a $75 gift card. Congratulations. We have a 1st place winner, Jenna Nizam. Come on up, Jenna. Let's get pictures there. And that's a $125 gift card. Thank you, students. Please pass on to your fellow students 1 grade down that they better get ready. We're going to come up with another challenging question. And the Zeckmans, there's no more kids, right? All right. But good job to the Zeckman for a couple of years there, doing very, very well. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Way to go if you want to go.
Hey Barry, did you get Lisa a copy of the winning essay so that we can read them? You don't have to do it now, it can be done
Yeah.
later.
Or we'll email you.
Thanks.
Yep. You got it.
Next up is some presentation of awards for the Recreation Committee.
So I had the honor of coaching and working with the three individuals that we're going to be presenting the awards to. They dedicated thousands of hours to our township, our recreation committee, and they really got each of their sports that they worked with. They communicated well, they were organized, and I just wanted to recognize, we wanted to recognize the amount of time they put into each sport and how smoothly they ran and how much we're going to miss them being part of the committee. So we wanted to thank you, gentlemen.
Scott? Certificate of recognition for all of your work with the rec. We appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
Honor and privilege.
Thanks for all you do.
Absolutely. I also thank my wife because she actually helped by not helping. She was up with a lot of
She was
stuff.
glad to get you out of the
She was
house.
there for me when I was frustrated and stuff, so a lot goes behind what I.
She got mad, then she said, "Oh, you have a field to go fix."
She's kind of happy about it.
And Jeff.
Thanks, guys. To be determined. Hopefully something good.
Thanks again for everything.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the April 21st meeting. Anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Any comments, corrections, deletions? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Yes.
So to accept the treasurer's report and the May bills list. And the May 9th interim bills list. Anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Any comments, questions, deletions? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
I'll make a motion. We accept the tax collector's tax reports for April. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Any questions, comments? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Yes.
Joe, you want to report since the chief's not here yet?
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll just be brief. I just want to touch on a couple of things. Since for the April report, DPW started mowing the grass and we had the addition of the 2 schools, as we know, we prepared for. That new machine's working out really well. I've only gained, with adding the schools, which were near 50 acres, I only got an additional half a day of mowing. So that machine has reduced what we were mowing before by Thomas Stewart Park was the 2 smaller mowers, was taking a full 8-hour day and an hour or 2 to next to trim and stuff. The guys are done about 5.5 hours with Thomas Stewart Park. We can get both schools done in one day, just have to do some trimming or the next day. So that has paid off already. As long as it's new, it keeps moving and it keeps mowing, we'll be in good shape for that time. And we did start the spring lawn debris and chipping program. It was a little light this year. We only had for the month of April, 11 cubic yards of lawn debris and 22 cubic yards of chipping and stuff. That's it. That's the highlights of the report. And plus sports and stuff with recreation started. little rough there in the beginning of March because it was very wet and the lake snow. But I think we got everything whipped into shape and going pretty smooth as of this time right now.
The base paths look great. That you,
What's that?
The base paths for her, they look good.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Joe, with the parade coming up, did you reach out to Charlie Henshaw?
Charlie came out over and seen me and he had a discussion and I told him I'll be here Saturday, the weekend before with the fire company. We're gonna go up and do a walkthrough what he needs and
And
stuff.
if DPW needs to do something for you.
Yeah,
mulch
no,
out,
no
whatever.
problem. Well, like I said, we'll take care of that. Be ready to
No one
go.
has an objection, to that, right?
No.
Okay, Lisa, you want to go since?
Sure. I do have a few things. I don't know if anybody has any questions about my written report, but there are a few things that do need action. The banking RFP, we're going to hold off on that for another month because we're trying to get the preferred bank to match rates. Bring that back next month. The job descriptions have been reviewed by Lillian and by Paul, and they were approved by them. If we could do a vote tonight, if you guys are comfortable with that, to get them finalized, that would be great. The NJDEP, I noted here the conversations between DEP and Aqua and their estimated costs. And if you guys recall, I reported that we basically just need an estimated cost for that water line install to that contaminated property. And then DEP will get started on that application. So if you guys are comfortable, I did review those also with Paul. If you're comfortable with those numbers in my report, we could submit it. They did say that they're amendable at any time during that process. So we're gonna have an engineering fees, some conversations are gonna have to be had moving forward, but if we could get it started with that number, if you guys approve that tonight, that would also be great. We're still waiting on, have a request from Eloise for a motion on the record to suspend interest charges for sewer. I think I discussed this briefly with you, Mayor. They had a moratorium on, shut-offs and all of those things during COVID. And they're putting into place a mechanism for people to go online and apply for additional time to pay their sewer bill. And it's created this very difficult chart that's going to require repeated notifications, and it's not worth it. We have very few delinquent accounts. The amount that we would take in would be minimal. So the recommendation is that we just waive interest fees on the sewer till the end of the year, if you guys can endorse that. Other than that, I would like to amend the employee handbook and personnel policy to include the resolution that you guys adopted, naming Direct 15 as our medical, just so that it's very clear for our employees. And I ran that by Rich Winter, and we have figured out exactly where that should be input. So it's been approved by the labor attorney. And the last thing is that we have a teacher, Dan, I could not catch his last name, from Greenwich School, who would like to have a student council meet at the Thomas Stewart Park Pavilion for a few hours on June 6th.
Dan Fallon.
I think that's right. Yeah, I couldn't quite catch the name on the message. So if you guys would be inclined to waive the fees for that. And that's it.
I took notes, so Greg, as I apologize to Greg for not listening to my own note already. Greg's from the Historical Commission. He wanted to make a presentation to us real quick. So Greg, if you want to.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Greg.
All right. I skipped right over it.
It's Bob Etchison going to say.
Oh, Bob's gonna talk, okay.
I thought that was next week.
Next month, that's fine if you want to do it next month.
Next week, I didn't realize I was going to say something tonight.
Then Greg,
Come on, Bob,
do
just
you
get
want-
up. If you want to come back next
All right,
Thursday
Bob.
night, you're welcome, but no one will be here. Meeting next week.
I guess we're talking about the placing memorial chairs in the park with little plaques on them to recognize people who have made a big contribution to us over the course of the years that we have existed as a town. An example would be out here in the hall, we have a plaque to the people that donated this land, the land that this building is on, plus the park. So what we want to do is recognize some old time members of the Historical Society and Greenwich Township. What we found was that it was impossible to do because you're not allowed, I think we were restricted in whether or not we could put a chair in the park. And the kind of chairs we're talking about are right in front of this building right now. If you want to sit in them, they're very nice. They have plaques and they have the name of the person we're trying to remember. But to create this remembrance and create this connection to the past for people who come here in the future, because there's a lot of new people coming to town, we found we couldn't do it. That there's an ordinance against doing such things. And it was kind of frustrating to hear that we can't take a public space and recognize these people in the public space where many people can look at the names and understand maybe what they did, what they donated, and how they, what they did for us as a town. So I think compared to what the town used to be in terms of size, when everybody knew everybody, it's quite different because we have quite a large town now and we don't know everybody, and it will help spread the word as to who these people are that have contributed to what Greenwich Township is today. So, and it kind of behooves me that when we have a public space supported by public funds, that there's a restriction on how we could recognize people from our town who contributed mightily to what we have and to where we're heading, because they're the legacy that we're building on. So.
You cite my name?
You talk about, no, you're.
Okay, so
it's not public comment.
What I'd like to ask the Township Committee is just to approve those 3 benches. It's for, Cliff and Doris and Carl. Carl Forster, Doris Rayner, and Cliff Bowler. So I think that's on the, you're gonna be talking about that later on tonight. I greatly appreciate it. You can appreciate.
Well, how the ordinance came about is we've had numerous requests from people who have passed away, who lived in the town, who like to go there all the time to the park. They walk there and they became fond of that park. So when they passed away, the families would say, we want to put a tree with a plaque as a memorial. The Boy Scouts are always doing their Eagle Scout projects there. We've had several parents really insist on, they want to put plaques up where their child did their project, on who did it and what they did and stuff. And the requests were getting so much that, one, how many benches do you need in a park? And two, the other thing which I didn't even think about, which was Joe brought to our attention, got a weed whack around them and everything. That's, as he just got done saying, they cut hours on mowing, we're be adding, but I'm not unwilling to revisit it to maybe amend or change the ordinance that if it's part of the township, not individuals or something like that to approve it. But that's why the law is there. If I don't want you to be behooved when you leave. But that's the history of that ordinance and why we passed it, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people who call and say, my father or my uncle, my aunt passed away, I'd like to put something there. And we understand it, but where do you stop it? Where's the limit end,
Yeah.
And how many benches can you have in a park?
I understand you never have enough.
Well, you're supposed to be there to walk, right? Not to sit.
Maybe, well, I'm into the sitting now, so whatever you
I'll
can
be joining this.
whatever could be done, if it just the 3 benches, okay, but if you could put the sign on the little plaque, okay, I'll greatly appreciate it. So that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ones out front, I don't have a problem with the plaques that are out front. They're just part of the bench.
It's doing the same way.
It's not, but I mean, I'm willing to revisit it. I don't know how everybody else feels up here on it. But
I'm ready to revisit it under certain circumstances. Sure.
All right. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for all you do. We
All right,
appreciate you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
As
you.
much as you think we don't, we appreciate you. Okay. Okay, thanks, then, Mr. Vetcherson. Okay, let's go back to, I'll make a motion, we suspend interest on sewer accounts until the end of the year. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions, comments on it? And it's pretty much is what the state is pretty much told us to do, right?
Correct.
Another way of situations where we're doing something that we don't really have a choice.
It would cost us more money
Yeah.
to not. Can we name this resolution 5522, Bob?
Okay, so I'll make a 22, what?
5522?
Okay, I'll make a motion to resolution 2255, suspend interest through sewer. We already had the second on it. Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
yes,
I'll make a motion that we change the wording in the employee handbook to advise employees that Direct 15 is the only option for the healthcare program. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions, comments, and discussions on that? Roll call.
Mayor
Lisa.
Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
yes.
Paul or Lillian, do you want to make the motion on the job descriptions or?
I'd like to make the motion that we accept the job descriptions as detailed in our paperwork.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
Yes,
Yes, and thank you, Lisa, for your work on that.
Looking for a motion to waive the fees for Thomas Stewart Park for the
June 6th for the student council.
student council. Anybody want-
I'll second.
I didn't make the motion. If you want to make the
I'll make the
motion.
motion.
Okay, you made it.
I'll second.
Second, any questions, comments? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
yes.
Yes,
All the notes I had from yours, Lisa, did I miss anything?
I think the last one would be if you guys would endorse me submitting that preliminary cost estimate to the DEP for that water line extension for the one for
Okay.
dioxin.
Anybody want to make that motion? Bill,
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
want a second?
I'll second it.
Any more questions or comments on that? Roll call.
Mr. Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
Yes,
Ms. McDermott?
yes.
If I could just interject on this, only because I wasn't aware of what was happening. Just so you guys know, I'm sure this is for the house on Arbor Drive. down at the garage.
Or something like
Yeah,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
right, but that house by the river.
Right,
Okay.
whatever the number is, right.
We're already proceeding with a much larger scale version of this, got to be the same grant in Franklin, because Franklin's got many more
more,
dioxin
right.
hits
Right.
than we do, thankfully, I guess. in that
Right.
respect. So I've already gone through the process and I'm going to continue to go through. So if there's anything I can do to help along the way, I'd be happy to.
It was, they were just looking for some preliminary numbers.
No, the number, I know exactly what
That
you submitted.
form.
It's
Right.
incredibly simple upfront.
Yeah.
It's, well, so far. it's not-
Upfront, right,
Yeah.
right. And with the
So-
help of Aqua, it was
Okay,
easy enough to come up to. I mean, the number seems to be very large, but if you look at it, it's, what was it, $230 a foot,
Yeah.
which all of a sudden isn't all that bad. You know,
well,
if you look at
it's
it.
many,
on
many
that level.
feet to
But it's
get to
many
the
feet,
house.
right,
That's the
exactly.
problem. That's that house, the
Right,
house
right.
question. So I just want to let you guys know that
No,
we're
yeah, we're
doing it, so.
aware, but the biggest problem that we see too is you have two different water companies.
Well, that's exactly why
Yeah,
he's
Right.
out of
Exactly.
the other
Right.
one that started, because he was originally in it until
Yes.
so,
But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of, and these are just rough numbers for the.
very rough. Yep, gotcha. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Chief, want to do your report? How long have you been there? You haven't been there the whole time, have you?
Quite a while.
Have I passed over him that many times? I didn't see you there.
Sorry. Monthly report, nothing in particular that a call volume wise that jumps out, but it was an increased call volume, 1,389 calls, as opposed to last April 2021, we were at only 983. Our arrests, 9 arrests, adult arrests, drunk driving arrests, 194 traffic tickets, 1 parking ticket. Inspector Bureau closing 4 cases, being another 16 cases. And like I said, everything was kind of numbers were all a little bit higher than last year. Does anybody have any questions regarding the monthly report? Overtime report.
Yeah, just in general, Chief, how is that working out? I mean, is overtime starting to exceed the cost of a new man with benefits?
Yes, you'll see, as for instance, April's overtime report. In April of 2021, we had 73 and a half hours overtime. This year, we're at 108 hours. Increase in vacation. I mean, the officers have an increased vacation because you have officers stepped up in the step process. And they some large amount of personal days used. And we had bereavement, which we can't predict, but we've been hit with a lot of that this year, unfortunately, with the officers' families.
Did you have some COVID cases too lately?
Yes, we had an officer, another officer that had COVID and had to was out, for a while. And then a couple that their kids, they had to stay on the care for them.
So, Chief, even though I understand, are our officers comfortable filling in on the OT at this stage of the game, though? I mean, is it inconveniencing anybody? Is it hard to fill the spaces?
It's not right now. However, as you were saying, is it exceeding the cost of a man? It's trending that way right now. I'm kind of gauging the overtime for the rest of the year, and what we're going to need. The summer is going to be quite a bit there, and I haven't put on an executive to discuss moving one of our guys to a full-time class 2, and just I guess something I'll see for executive session, explain the numbers that I reviewed with that, and compared with Shannon that she had gathered for me for what it would how it would cost the town and what we're looking at for paying overtime and whatnot.
Any other questions? Paul, you have any comments on the court report?
No comments.
ACO report, only one call for the month.
Right.
For 45 minutes. Thanks. So I'm looking for a motion to accept the police department report, DPW report, township clerk's report, the full report, and the ACO report.
Make the motion.
We want a second? Final comments or questions before we roll call? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
yes,
McDermott?
Yes.
Committee reports. Anybody have anything, Paul?
The only thing, we need to just kind of finalize, we talked about increasing the zoning officer's hours by 1 a week, but we need to put in print a dollar amount to match the increase, which Lisa and Shannon have figured out, or maybe just Lisa has figured out all the math as to what it was. So it's going to boost his salary by an additional $1,000 a year. And I believe we need to make that official. I'm not sure, Lisa, what do you want us to do?
I would just, as long as we can have a motion on the record, so we have.
All right, so I'll make a motion to increase the zoning officer's current salary by $1,000.
Maybe one second.
I'll second that.
Okay, the only comment I make is that the hours are going up proportionally, so it's not just a raise, it's.
No, no, there's time
Yeah,
coming with it,
covered
right,
it.
right, yeah,
Correct.
Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
yes,
Mr. Beam?
yes.
Mr. Kenya?
Yes,
McDermott?
Yes.
That it, Paul? You have
Yep.
anything?
Nope, that's
All
it. Oh, yeah. So recreation, the lacrosse season's coming to an end. They have their tournaments this weekend for boys and girls.
Girls don't have a tournament.
Okay, boys. Baseball's halfway over. They are planning out their Memorial Day snack stand for the parade for recreation. school board. You want to go over the grant under school board that we're working on still? Do you want to talk about?
Your call, either way.
Okay, so the SRTS grant, we met with Dominguez, Mr. Dominguez last week. Like, do you want to discuss any of that we can discuss?
Sure. If everyone recalls, I passed out a map last month and explained that I had touched base with the owner of the property in question, which is the missing link, if you will, to complete the path, which would take it from Thomas Stewart Park, obviously, down to the middle school and to South Main Street. As I had said, and I think Brian would certainly agree, Mr. Dominguez, John Dominguez, the owner, very reasonable, we certainly, I think it would be willing to cut a deal with the township for the property in question. Is it fair to say? Yeah, it was a good call, and certainly gave me more optimism that we could probably get this done. Now, it's easier said than done, of course. I think that what we would need to do, I sent John Dominguez also saw a copy. I sent him the plan. He knows what we're talking about. So right now, it's a 30-foot wide easement that we would buy along the perimeter of his property to take it from where the Thomas Stewart Park sidewalk, which is not built at the moment, but it would have to go from off the existing sidewalk to the corner of the Dominguez property and basically down along two legs of Dominguez until you get to the middle school property, and then ties in to the middle school. I mean, it's a strictly from the access standpoint, circulation, pedestrian circulation standpoint, it's a home run. It's a really nice project. So I think that what we need to do is for us to basically send him a formal request, if you will, which would, include maybe a little more detailed map than we've put together to date, with an area in question. And then then we get into something that's above my pay grade as far as compensation and what that may be, or if he's willing to donate it. And
He gave us a couple.
yeah. So the applications are still not out for this year. They're due to come out, I think, in June. I think they're due in October. We would need to have this wrapped up prior to submission of the application in October. So, I mean, October sounds far away, but you know how quick it goes. So if everybody's on board with this, I would say we should, and probably would, have Mike's office, Larry, Mike, put together a little cover letter with our map attached with, with an accurate depiction of the area in question. And, throw it back to him and say, what do we got to do? Or if you guys want to make an offer at that point, so try to get the ball rolling. That's I think where we're at.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I just want to let the board know, and I don't know, I guess Mike Labor is not indicated. We have a conflict with reference to that situation. Mr.
Yeah, he's
Dominguez
recused before.
is a
on that.
client of ours, so, and frankly, I don't know who handles conflicts in that situation, but I would.
Rich Meyer. So he's out.
No,
there.
maybe drill in this case.
Yeah, we can go to our.
Yeah,
land use,
yeah.
We'll get somebody on this, but I agree with Mike. I think the inquiry should be directly, did he indicate that he might be willing to donate it, or?
Brian, I don't know if the donate word came.
I don't know if we should start talking
Yeah,
about
that's fine.
that.
I just wanted
Here,
to
let's,
talk
why don't you, Brian, you and Mike Lavery get together, decide what you're gonna do, the cover letter, send it.
Yeah, we'll get somebody to cover this.
Well, we'll get John Drill,
Well-
he's our open space.
Well, and the advantage John has already is that John was sitting as the board attorney when the application came through, so he's well aware of property.
And I think John communicated with them a year ago, so we were talking about, oh, well, we're talking about the sewer possibility going through there. I think John.
Oh, right.
Is that John Drill?
Yeah,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, John will be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
You know.
So we're gonna sue.
can handle
Okay,
that.
so basically Brian, myself, John, and
Yeah.
get
As long
Get
as
something-
you okay with that, Paul?
Sure.
Larry?
And get
Bill,
something-
I
get
keep
something
telling you,
to-
Bill,
him.
Wake up.
I'm fine. Absolutely fine with that.
Very good. I'll send the plan to John tomorrow because I don't think he's even seen it yet. And maybe we can set up a conference call.
We need a motion on
Yeah.
that? We need a motion?
Well, we'll be paying John Drill for it, so.
Yeah.
I make the motion, we authorize Brian, Mike, and John Drill to communicate with the owner of that property for the grant.
I'll
Anybody-
second.
Any questions, comments? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyek?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else?
Sewer,
Okay,
our contracts are up 2023. That's what I got out of the meeting. And that they're coming up, I guess, with whatever their proposal is going to be.
okay. And Brad Carney will handle that.
Yeah.
So.
it.
And it? Okay. Bill, yeah.
They came for.
Okay. Bill, you have anything committee wise report?
Open space, I believe, Lisa, there's two names that we got to approve for to add them to the committee.
Would you like me to make them tonight?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll appoint Rolf Dice Jr. and Richard Goldring to the Open Space Committee with the approval of committee. So if somebody wants to make a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any other further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyek?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else, Bill?
I met with Burke, the company that built the swing sets yesterday, along with Frank Pinto. And we're looking to expand it, maybe go out towards the Greenwood Street, about 32 to 35 feet. So they're coming up with a plan for me that I can present to the open space. If we get their approval, we'll be back next month to add additional play equipment out there. So that's all I have for the open space.
Thanks, Bill. Mike, you have anything else? Professional reports. we got.
Oh, okay. Well, the SRTS, which
I
we've
think we're
done.
done with committee reports. Anybody? I didn't skip anybody, right? Yep. Okay.
Okay. The DOT grants, Rickline Hill Road, we're moving forward. Beatty's Road, obviously on hold. But there is one other matter which I see is on the agenda for later, which is the correspondence regarding the 2023 applications. So I think, to me, I think it's pretty simple. Since we're gonna go in for scope modification with Beatty's to kind of cut it in half, if you will, from the grant money we were awarded for this year already. So the application for 2023 would be the second half of Beatty's, which is kind of halfway done already because we already had it in the large application. So I would just ask just a quick authorization to have us prepare what we'll call it Beatty's Road Section 2 as the application for next year's grant, DOT grant program. Now, we also did Willow Grove Road last year as well. Joe, you got any thoughts on any other candidates by any chance?
No, not top of my head right now.
Yeah. So,
I'd still like to see you pursue, and I know we're having trouble getting the original information from the US Postal Service. But again, I still remember when the post office got built, that their preferred method to get to them was Warren Street and Prospect Street and out to 57. And I thought that was part of that road. It has to be a connector.
I'm a little, You lost me a little bit.
Well, for
I'm sorry.
the road grants,
Right.
it can't be development roads, it needs to be connector roads to get.
Well,
from
they
A
need to
B.
be a little higher on the.
Right,
the
well, with that
traveling,
being said,
The
um,
ADT standard. Right.
the US Postal Service, when they first reopened that, and I know we briefly talked about it, I don't know if you remember about it. Their preferred method to get there is Warren Street to Prospect Street to 57 to make a right in, so that people weren't making the left off of 57 and things of that nature. I know that
Okay.
documentation's not around anymore. The postmaster that wrote that up is no longer available or anything, but that was still their preferred method. And I think if we could get Warren
Okay.
Street and let's just say the north side of Prospect.
Right. Okay. So basically
particularly
from
Warren
57
Street.
to North Main,
Right,
with Prospect and.
right.
Okay. Fine. That's actually, yeah, that's not a bad application.
I mean, I would
That's
like
not
to see
just-
that application.
That road, that route is not just local traffic. I mean, there are people, right,
Well,
so,
right,
I don't know, that's a, yeah, that's a.
it
decent
could
game,
use some
sure.
improvement.
So then how about, if everybody's okay with that, we'll do Beatty section 2 and
Well,
that.
do you do two of them, or do you just save that Warren one for 2024?
Well, we usually, we.
'Cause you're only gonna
restore-
get to
Right,
one.
we're not gonna get to.
Right,
The
so
advantage of
let's
us-
just,
okay.
Beatty's, just for your future reference for 2024.
Okay.
Unless something better comes up in between, keep that route.
Gotcha, okay,
Okay.
fine. Gotcha.
Do we need a motion then to authorize them to do that or not?
For
For the first part. I
the
think.
first
second
part,
of
for the
Beatty's.
second part of Beatty's, yeah.
You wanna make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion for Mike to go through the application process to do section 2 of Bailey's Road.
I'll second. Anybody have any further comments or questions? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Yes.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Basketball courts. Should it still be on there? I thought it was-
Well, so we reached out to Alcon, and did you receive any?
I emailed them twice and
Okay,
We
we
haven't
haven't
received
received
an updated
anything. We
quote.
might have to go and start looking at a different company.
Okay.
I'm gonna try them, I guess, one more time.
I found a phone number. Maybe
That was
we
a
can try.
recommendation of the open spaces to use them, so I'll try one more time.
I'll make a motion. We open up public hearing on the ordinance 102/2022, which is the 2022 COLA ordinance. We want to do that first, or we have to do the budget first? I thought we did the COLA last month. Oh, that's what we did the introduction.
right.
Okay, yeah, so we do that first, then we do the budget, right?
Yep.
Doesn't matter really. Okay, so I'm making a motion. We open a public hearing on ordinance 102/2022, the 2022 COLA ordinance. Anybody want a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I don't know if the public want to come up and ask any questions and make a comment about that ordinance. What COLA ordinance is, Andrew, you want to explain it again, so for those who weren't here last month?
So basically what it is that the amount that we don't use out of what we're allowed to raise the budget by in the current year, we're allowed to bank that. It's not necessarily that we're going to use it in the future, but it allows us the ability to do so if we have to. See that, Rob? I nailed it that time.
Anyone? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Anybody want a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion that we adopt the ordinance 102/2022, 2022 COLA ordinance. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Anybody have last minute questions, comments, discussion, roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
McDermott?
Yes.
I want to open up public hearing for the 2022 budget. Anybody, I'll make that motion. Anybody want a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have anyone come up and make any comments or questions about the proposed budget? You're welcome to come up. Andrew would be happy to answer your questions.
I actually have a quick rundown that I just want to give you. I know that we just did this.
Go ahead.
last
Maybe
week, but, you know,
somebody
go ahead.
after they hear it might want to come up. and talk.
Okay, so the one thing that we didn't discuss last time, because the state hadn't done this yet, was this was a state exam year for the town. The state did not return any points on the budget. They had a few very minor points on the AFS, which we were able to easily address and resolve. So we got permission from the state that once we do our public hearing tonight on the budget, that we can go ahead and adopt. Overall, the municipal tax increase was 2.5 cents this year. What does that mean for your average taxpayer? The average assessed home in Greenwich is $272,000. This equates to an increase of $66 over the entire year, or $5.74 a month. In this current year, in the budget, we actually had to bring down the amount that we budgeted for delinquent tax receipts. Good thing, bad thing. We've been at a higher collection rate, so there's less for us to budget for because there's less there for us to bring in. So we went down about $40,000 in that because of the calculation that's required for that. But we did maintain a stable fund balance usage in our budget of $600,000. And we're using reserve for sale of municipal assets of $89,000 this year to pay for one-time capital items, which is a smart move. It's not a recurring revenue, so we're using it for one-time expenses, which is exactly what we should be doing with non-recurring revenues. Your expenditures inside the cap increased approximately $135,000 this year. The main increases there were general government other expenses were up $40,000. Municipal clerk's office salaries and wages were up $42,000. Fire hydrant services were up $15,000. Police S&W salaries and wages were up $15,000, and court costs were up $25,000. Just the last thing that I want to touch on is that the township is looking to build a fire/police building on land that the township already owns. And we just wanted to throw this out there with everything that's going on with interest rates and markets and everything. We recommend that you move forward sooner rather than later, because nothing's coming down right now, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, is what it looks like. So just a recommendation to throw out there on that.
Yeah, when we talk about the fire building. Okay, so the only thing anybody heard out of that whole presentation was the tax increase. You just-
It's a very conservative increase. It's a very well thought out and responsible budget. And, yeah, I mean, you all put so much work into this, you know, Shannon, Lisa, all of your department heads. It really is a very good, solid budget.
With that, does anybody from the public have any comments or questions? Thank you, Nancy, for that presentation.
Bill Billion, 13 Barn Swallow Court. I just want to thank the council for all the work and effort that goes into the preparation of the budget. And you're right, people are going to scream about tax increase. And at some level, I will too, but I know how hard you work to keep that increase from being any larger than it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I make a motion to close the public comment on the budget. Anybody want a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we adopt the 2022 budget. That's resolution 4722. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Any more questions or comments? Wants to bail out last one? Okay, roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Pender?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it looks like Andrew's going to talk again, huh?
It's a long night. So do you want me just to go through?
Yeah, go through the
Couple
two
of numbers.
ordinances and what the corrective plan is, explanations so people have an understanding.
Sure.
We do have an audience at home. I do get calls. People do watch. so.
I'm sure they're asleep by now. We just went through the budget, right?
Oh, yeah, it's on video. They watch it. DVR. it. Like a good movie.
Okay, so recently we completed the audit of the township for 2021. So tonight, we're going to go ahead and certify the annual audit, and we're also going to pass the corrective action plan. So just a couple of points on the audit itself. In 2021, we had, as I said, when we're talking about the budget, we used $600,000 of fund balance to build the budget. And we regenerated 686,000. So we netted an increase of $86,000 into our fund balance for this year. As far as recommendations go, there were 4 recommendations. The first of which is one that always has a tendency to plague smaller towns. And that's the segregation of duties. Due to the size of the staffing within, there's certain tasks that have to be handled by certain individuals in order for everything to get done. And this is a recommendation that we see in almost all of our towns. The second recommendation was for all required signatures to be on purchase orders. During our audit procedures, when we test certain transactions, there were purchase orders that were found to be missing some signatures. So we're recommending that going forward, that all signatures are obtained prior to any payments being made, which we're already working on that, I know, and hope to have that resolved by next year's audit, and it won't be an issue anymore. The other issue that we had was that purchase orders were being done, purchases were being done, excuse me, before purchase orders were approved. Same thing, we've been working on that, so we don't anticipate it being an issue next year. And then the final one was that there was large interfund balances at the end of the year. So we always just recommend when those balances are larger that we try to clear those out and, you know, move the money back and forth and everything winds back into its own pot prior to the end of the year. Other than that, a good, decent, clean audit. You know, thank you to everyone for all the work that goes into it. You know, it's a lot of work doing these big books. It's it's a hefty load to lift, but you know, it's the staff here does a really good job of getting us everything that we need and really being helpful with it.
Okay. Those items that you listed are the corrective action plan too?
Those are in the corrective action plan. That's correct. So tonight we'll approve the corrective action plan. You'll do that by resolution, and then after that, you have to sign the group affidavit and send it out within 45 days.
Okay, so looking for a motion to adopt resolution 4822, and that's the Township Committee certification of the annual audit. Anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Want a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion. We adopt resolution 4922. It's the corrective action plan, which Andrew just explained. Hopefully next year we get it from what, 4 down to 2 things, 2 items. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Anybody have any further questions, comments? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
I do have to say though, this is like my 6th year on. And you guys don't have to talk as much as you used to. I mean, we were so far behind the 8 ball from 2015 to like now
It's very true.
that it's come a long way, even though it's still tough. I mean, every year the budget here is a real struggle, but we're still digging out of that hole
You've made tremendous strides.
from 7 years ago. I mean, we're really in bad shape 7 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andrew, can I ask one question?
Absolutely.
Real quick, then, because this has got to be facing other communities. Obviously, with the escalating costs of commodities, fuel, gas, and everything else like that, we worked on the budget, and again, we allowed for an increase on fuel per se.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, not enough. You know, what are you and other, what are you finding that we should be trying to do to prepare ourselves for that? And what are other communities doing? Or are we going to, at some point, mid-year, woe things up and steal, or not steal, rob from Peter to pay Paul and stuff like that?
Budget transfers.
Right. Is that the answer?
I think a lot of it's going to be done through budget transfers. You know, everyone, like you said, everyone's up against it with this. We have no control of that consumable.
No, right,
and-
right.
And our utilities and everything, it's all expected to be impacted.
Well, I just know that on this particular budget, which I was a little uncomfortable with for 2 years in a row now, she's bare bones, you know, so where's the
Yeah.
Where's the interdepartment transfer coming from?
Like,
If you're at bare bones.
It might be a couple departments.
Right. Well, so that the money might be having to come from places that we normally wouldn't have been looking to pull it from.
Right. Just bear in mind, you can't move anything from outside the cap back in,
Right.
so just something to bear in mind.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 103/2022, which is repealing ordinance number 2012-17, mandating connection to public water and sealing of private wells. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
Anyone wishing to come up and make a public comment or question regarding the ordinance is welcome to come up to the podium. Speak. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close public hearing on ordinance number 103/2022. Anybody want a second?
I'll second that. Aye.
Aye. Bill, you want to make the motion to adopt?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 103-2022, repealing ordinance number 2012-17, mandating connections to the public water and sealing off private wells.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Any further questions, comments, discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Welcome, have a good night.
Mayor Barsney?
Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
Yes,
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay. Draft orders for the chapter 5 licensing of dogs. We didn't take action.
We're waiting on Mike.
We're waiting on Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adopt resolution 5022, resolution 5122, 5222, 5322, and 5422, all redemption of tax liens and one refund of tax overpayment. Anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any further questions, comments? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya?
yes.
And Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Basketball courts. Do we want to discuss this in public or not? Installation of cameras.
This is just there's one quote we could
Oh,
go for
okay.
additional, if you
Okay.
guys want. It's in your packets. I don't know if anybody.
Just to add to that, I did contact the vendor that produced up at Palm Store Park for a quote for cameras as well. Just to see where they come in, because it's the same type of system. Just getting another number out there.
Okay. So,
Brian, do you want to wait till next month with a second quote, or do you want to do
Do
a
you-
cost not to
Do you feel
exceed?
comfortable with what you have, chief, or would you rather go out and? see?
They might come in a little lower. If they come in lower,
Yeah,
we can use that. And
Yeah, that's what.
okay. Store Park Phase 1 planting plan. Bill, do you have something on that or?
We're still waiting on the plan. I don't have anything yet.
Okay. Stormwater pollution prevention plan. Mike, you have anything to add to your letter?
No, I
Nothing?
don't think you want to hear anything more than what we said. It's
Nothing
the
more
DOT
interesting-
requirement.
nothing more interesting than that.
DOT, DEP requirement.
There's nothing more interesting than stormwater pollution.
Stormwater SPPP.
Okay, open space vacancies. We did those already in the first.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
Playground equipment, you already talked about, right, Bill?
Yep,
Field rental fee waiver, Little Lions baseball.
Bill, did you want to talk about our open space meeting, or do you want me to?
you can talk. My voice is shot.
Okay, so we had our open space meeting and they were talking about looking at the ordinances and coming up with a committee with recreation. And coming up with, I guess, a subcommittee, Bill, and looking at changing some of the ordinances. They were under the assumption that they were, and I never saw this until the day of our meeting, that they had a field scheduling guide for Parks and Recreation when it was a commission. And they thought we were still using that. Our ordinances are different now, and they would like to work with rec in changing that. Under the the field recreation guide, they had a waiver that teams could submit for nonprofit. So right now, the Little Liners is a nonprofit. They recommended that we waive it. We could table that too as well until we change the ordinance. But that's where we're at with that. Is that everything, Bill?
Yeah, that's all I remember. Yeah.
So will it change from the committee to?
I guess I wasn't
committee?
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the ordinance was written that way.
I guess Lisa's seen.
The
emails.
ordinances that were adopted in 2019 don't make reference to the waivers, but this field scheduling guide that apparently has been used historically when it was a commission does speak to it. So that it's just an inconsistency that didn't get picked up because we didn't have it, or maybe Mike Lavery didn't have it at the time.
It seems
So,
like Mike.
and there are other items that we've discussed that need to be amended. It references
So you want to
recreation.
table it next month and have Mike address it?
Yeah, I think the four things need to be
Yeah.
made consistent.
And I would like to see obviously input on both sides in that meeting. To address it, they might, recreation might say nothing needs to be changed, but right now open space thinks there's some language that needs to be changed in the ordinances. So I would table it.
So do you want to table it to wait for what Mike first has, or you want to table
Mike's
it
the one that created.
to group everybody together in the meantime?
Yeah, I could reach out and Bill, would you want to see about creating the committee for open space and I'll reach out to rec? See if they
Yes.
can- Okay.
Historic commission, we're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Old school, I don't think there's any updates on that, because you don't have any updates with the Larry on the old school?
No, in fact, the last time I was here, we discussed the old school about potentially an area of
Yeah.
redevelopment. I don't know what discussion you may have had with Mike on it.
I can provide the update that Mike is drafting a letter to them just to see what their plan is, whether they want to proceed with the redevelopment or if they just want to come in with an application to the board.
Okay.
He'll have that for next month.
And, again, if the procedure, I think I explained last time I was here, would be that you would adopt a resolution requesting the planning board to do a study to see if it was an area that needed redevelopment. If they did, it'd come back here.
We've already made it.
It's been done.
We've already.
That's
made the
done.
area need redevelopment.
Oh, it is?
That'd say 3 years ago. That was
Okay.
actually done.
But it's a
Yeah.
question now that if the owner developer could come up with a plan.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, you have any updates on the new municipal building, firehouse, police station, and municipal? offices, or-
The way it looks that everybody's reviewed with the municipal and the police, moved officers around, everybody seems to be on pace there. Need to set up a meeting, trying to get a meeting together next week to review the elevations and then probably to move forward, start getting the technical plan together.
Yeah.
So that's what that meeting will be to kick off.
And
kick
as
that
Andrew
off.
said, and we've been worried about this for months, we gotta
Yes.
get acting on it because
Yeah.
if the interest rates keep going up.
And right now, it looks like Monday or Wednesday is the
Yeah.
best for either one of them days.
I saw that,
Is the
yeah.
best.
Okay.
Bob, do you want me to reach out to bond counsel to find, at this point, get?
Yeah, I would at least
get
let them
them
know where
done?
we're headed and what we're looking at.
And maybe a heads up that potentially we would want them at next month's meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comcast application, we have anything on that, or is that
Still on hold for next month. Discussing with Mike today, so we're all set with that.
And Chamois Shine, that's just hung over for next month, last month or what?
So it's the same situation. We still have the parcels out there that are, they're interested in certain parcels, both the one that we've discussed many times, it's kind of like but now also they're interested in purchasing the cul-de-sac. But in both cases, they're undersized lots. If the township decides that we want to do something with them, we have to basically provide notice to both adjoining property owners. We have to do an advertisement.
Yeah, but I thought we discussed, we really don't want to do it. We gotta get our planner in
Right.
and discuss that area need to redevelopment. But she's allowed to say that
Yeah,
those two pieces may be integral with
right.
connectivity and everything. So, and if it's not, I don't mind negotiating with Chamois Shine. They're excellent, my opinion, they're excellent partners in the community.
Yeah, sure.
They run a nice, beautiful place out there. Clean.
And I'm not, I actually was gonna ask Paul, have you heard an update from Kendra? Because I don't know if, I know that many land use board meetings back to back here have been canceled. I was wondering if.
No, unfortunately, we are without communication because there aren't meetings.
Maybe we should have a meeting with her.
Well, I think at this stage of the
We'll
game,
have
we
her
need to
come
have a
next
meeting
month
with her, right?
With some ideas of where we're headed.
Absolutely.
I'll contact her as well.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything under new business before? If you want correspondence, anything I know you wanted to bring up, Lisa?
No, nope, just.
Bill, anything in there you wanted to bring up?
Well, I was gonna bring up the Warren County resolution, Parents Bill of Right, but I'll save that for next month. But we attended that meeting and there was over 100 people there, you know, and they were all in opposition of what's going on down in Trenton, you know, so I'll be back at our school board next week trying to coax them to agree to pass a similar resolution, you know, so that's about it. So I'll put that on for next month.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, I'm gonna move public comment up in front of executive for the public's convenience, so I'll make a motion, we open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
For the public wishing to come up to the podium, make a statement, you have 3 minutes, name and address when you get up there this time, if you're going, Greg.
Thank you, Greg Velasquez, 721 Washington Valley Drive. I'm just gonna add what this gentleman said. It's not just about the budget. Just want to get it on record. Thank you for your time for the town, and a little extra kudos for Lillian for coming to the meetings and helping us out. That's all I gotta say. And Lisa helping us too. Mike, I don't know about you, but.
Well, you never invite
So
I'd be happy to help.
It's never said enough.
Yeah.
So, you know
Well,
what?
like I said, we appreciate what you do, and feel free to come and ask us anytime. Don't, you know,
I just want to say thank you.
okay. Thank you for thanking us.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else? I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before we go, I just want to thank Lisa, Shannon. Andrew's gone, but that's okay. We send a thank you when we send the check.
Yeah.
And for everything that you did, and I know it's a lot of work pulling all that out, and but we appreciate it. So
November will be here before you know it.
yeah.
Yes.
With that, I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss. So we're dropping DPW job titles, right? We only discussed that tonight, but and police contracts. Well, pretty much just police contracts right now. So with that, I'm going to make the motion to go to executive.
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks everyone for coming tonight.
Good night. Thank
Have a good night. I'll make a motion. We come out of public executive session. Anybody want to?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're in there for about, I guess, almost half an hour. We discussed the police department, police chief contract, and that's pretty much it. So with that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the contract between Greenwich Township and the police chief, Richard Hummer, effective January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2026. It's been reviewed by the labor attorney, and he has given his approval. The CFO of the township says that the money's there for these raises, and I think that's it. So, and it's been included in the budget for this year already. So with that, I make the motion that we approve the contract between us and the chief. Anybody want a second?
I second.
I'll second that.
Questions or comments? I'd just like to say that, you know, the chief's been very good with us the last few years. He works with us when it comes to budgeting, manpower and everything else, and we certainly appreciate it. And the chief did a good job in arguing for why he should get the raise that he's requesting. He was one that actually was the lowest paid police chief in the county, even lower than many of the departments that are smaller with less population. He's not going to become the highest paid chief in the county, just in case anybody watches. But we think it's in an area where it's fair when we compare him against other chiefs. township population and the manpower of the police department. So, anybody else?
Thank you for your dedication to the town. You're always in the community and, you know, you're a face that everyone sees and knows, which, you know, it's not always the case in other towns. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I agree.
Thank
Same here, Rich. Okay, with that, roll call, please.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyek?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then I would like to make a motion to move our part-time class 2 officer to a full-time position with our police department.
A second.
That's effective January.
Effective
Oh, June
June
1st.
1st, yeah.
21st,
Effective
yeah.
June 1st?
Yes.
A second.
Okay. I just like to make a comment. I feel bad this wasn't on the agenda. And I'm hoping no one feels like we blindsided them, but this is something we've been discussing even during budgeting at times, trying to increase the department. And I think the only reason the action is happening this quick is if we didn't do it tonight, the officer, no matter who we hired, wouldn't be eligible to go to the police academy until September. So we put us 4 months behind. If we do the appointment effective June 1st, we believe we can have him in the police academy June 6th and have him being utilized during the summer already, right, Rich, for vacation time?
Yes.
So anyone who's watching or anybody looks, I apologize that it wasn't on. I'm kind of surprised, and I think we are surprised that we're taking this action tonight this quickly, but certainly wasn't anticipated, but it has been discussed for months, so we're not being blindsided either with it. So I just wanted to offer that out there. So if anybody wonders why, I didn't even mention it before we went into executive, because we didn't think it was gonna happen. So anybody else? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyek?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone have anything else?
Nope.
With that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
A second. I'll make the motion.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks,
Aye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Hope you feel better.
I'll see you Tuesday.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Aye.
Bye-bye.